Welcome back to Texas Nation. We're here to talk some Major League Baseball. I'm sitting here with Maddie Serviante and Amber Anderson, and still Karl Schoening, and I'm still Grant Levenson. How are y'all ladies doing?
Good. Doing great, thanks.
Okay. Now let's go ahead and talk just a little bit about last season before we get into the 2011 season. 2010, we saw the Giants beat the Texas Rangers in the World Series. Maddie, do you think the best team won?
I don't. I think that the Rangers should have won. They overall, I think, had the best team, the best offense, best pitching, overall best team chemistry.
Amber, how about you?
Well, I always tend to lean towards the Yankees, but I'm going to actually have to agree with her on this one. I think the Rangers should have won.
Karl?
I think the Giants just kind of came out of nowhere. I think the best team and everybody was favoring going into the playoffs was the Phillies with the best pitcher and a really good offense.
Right. Well, see, I'm going to have to go ahead and say that I think the Giants were the best team. I think they had, coming down the stretch, the best pitching rotation in baseball at that point in time. With obviously, we all know Brian Wilson is the best closer in the game, and I think pitching dominates hitting in this league right now. So I say the Giants were the best team. But now I want to talk about some of the best teams coming into 2011. Amber, tell me a team who you think is, one of the top 4 or 5 teams that really have a great shot of making it to the World Series.
Well, I got to go Yankees on that one. You always have to stick with the Yankees because they're clutch. They're always going to be there in the playoffs. You have to consider them. But right now, fear with them is their pitching staff. They don't have their lineup secured yet. They're having to rely on young guys from the minors and stuff. So they're trying to figure out if they're going to have some of those guys up in the lineup or older guys like Bartolo Colon and Freddie Garcia.
Well, we did just see that they traded Sergio Mitre to the Brewers. So who is going to fill in those, 4 or 5 spots? Because we know that they have Phil Hughes and CC and AJ Burnett, but who's going to be their 4 and 5 guys?
Well, I think they might end up going with the older guys with more experience, the Freddie Garcia and Bartolo Colon, because people like Phil Hughes, while he is good and he's been pretty consistent in spring training right now, overall, as we've seen his performances last year, he's not always consistent, and I think that comes with his youth, and we're just going to have to wait and see, but he's still young. So.
Well, do you think Jabba Chamberlain's going to get a shot in the rotation again, or do you think they're just going to keep him in the bullpen as a setup man?
I think for now they'll keep him in the bullpen, but depending on his performance, I think it's all going to be performance-based and kind of seeing how things go.
Well, speaking of performance-based, we saw Derek Jeter have an off year last year.
He did.
How do you feel about that? I mean, do you think that's going to affect where they play him in the lineup, how many days he gets and whatnot?
Well, they are talking about splitting time with the leadoff hitter with him and Brett Gardner, which makes sense because Brett's speed. But the thing is, Derek Jeter, he's the captain. They kind of need that guy to go out there and hit for everybody. And I know they've been talking about moving positions, but I think there's too much respect for Derek in New York and the world, really, to even really consider moving him too much. So.
Oh, well, great. Thank you very much for your information. Karl, I want to get your pick. Now, I have a feeling that this team is going to be the Philadelphia Phillies, but
fighting Phils, they obviously have the best pitching staff, best front 4 you can imagine. 2 right-handers, 2 left-handers that are all stars. Cole Hamels and Cliff Lee. Cliff Lee coming back. Their major acquisition, of course, was Cliff Lee.
Right.
Jason Worth leaving to the Nationals. No way they're going to give him that kind of contract. Kind of have to look at the degrading Raul Ibanez and maybe Jimmy Rollins, but they have a really good young and upcoming player named Dominic Brown. So
we saw him for a little bit last year.
Oh yeah, I actually was in Philadelphia during his first game and got a standing ovation at his first at bat. Like, the fans in Philly know what's up and they know this team is legit.
Well, obviously, we know that each team has a weakness, and I think what's pretty apparent is for the Phillies, it's staying healthy. You were telling me earlier they might start the season with 3 guys on the DL, and those are 3 major players.
You know what, though? Right now it's real important to keep healthy. Through 100 games last season, only 5 times was the entire starting lineup healthy. I'm talking, the 1 through 9 hitters.
Right.
But as soon as they all got healthy, they destroyed the gap between them and Atlanta Braves, and then they ended up taking an 8-game lead on the division with only like 60 games left. So when this team is healthy, they can hit with anybody, and now with this pitching staff, they can pretty much win any 7-game series.
Well, it'll be real interesting to see if that hitting, we all think that their pitchers are going to stay healthy. They've never had an issue with health. But like you said, that starting lineup has always been just broken into parts. So I think it'll be real interesting to see how long they can all stay healthy and play together.
Yeah, one of the things you actually brought up in your intro was Chase Utley perhaps not playing for the season. It's only patella tendonitis, and that'll go away with rest. Utley's not the resting type at all.
Right.
But if they can calm him down and just kind of relax, it should be a way when games start to get important. I think April's preseason.
Well, thank you for your input, Carl. Maddie, I want to get your opinion now. Who do you think is one of the best teams out there?
I guess I'm going to have to go with San Francisco Giants. I agree with Carl. Cliff Lee's one of the best pitchers in the game, but I'm going to have to disagree with you and say that San Francisco has the best pitching staff right now. We just renewed our contracts with Tim Lincecum, Matt Cain, Madison Bumgarner, Jonathan Sanchez, and Barry Zito, so we definitely have the opportunity to create a pitching dynasty over the next few years.
Well, how do you feel the hitting is over there? Because, we saw that the hitting wasn't something that they were known for, and then in the World Series, they just kind of exploded on the Rangers. Do you think they're going to get that kind of same production this year?
I don't think so. I honestly don't. I think hitting's one of our weak spots. Yeah, they caught fire in the playoffs, and you can hope that they can do that all season, but I think it's actually one of their weaknesses.
Well, what do you think is their greatest strength on offense?
I'm going to have to say
Buster Posey,
yes,
maybe?
Yes,
yeah.
Him. He did great last season, and so did Huff with 58 RBIs.
Yeah.
So
Buster Posey is one great youth talent, and another youth talent you were telling me about earlier was Brandon Belt, a former Longhorn,
yes,
who might be getting the call up to come play first base in
yes,
the first couple of weeks of the season. So.
Well, actually, they're not sure if they're going to leave him in the minors for the first couple months to get him really prepared to go in, but right now it's still up in the air.
All right, well, thank you so much, Maddie. And I personally feel that it's the Boston Red Sox. I think with their two big off-season acquisitions with Carl Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez, I don't really understand how you can beat that team. Their stacked lineup, 1 through 6 is untouchable. You're probably going to have Jacoby Ellsbury leading off, Dustin Pedroia batting 2, Carl Crawford 3, Adrian Gonzalez 4, and Kevin Youkilis 5 with Big Papi batting 6. I mean, how do you pitch to that kind of rotation? The only question is going to be their pitching rotation. You know that you have John Lester, who's going to get you anywhere from 15 to 20 wins, and he's going to have over 200 strikeouts, but it's all question marks from there. Even Jonathan Papelbon is now a question mark. He used to be one of the cornerstones and when it came to closing pitchers in the league. So I feel that the Boston Red Sox can hit any pitching, but it's going to be real interesting to see what kind of pitching they get from their 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. So of all the teams that we brought up, honestly, who do y'all think has the best chance to win? Carl, I'll start with you. Honestly.
Obviously, it's the Phillies, I think. If we're talking healthy in postseason, who can beat that pitching staff? You have Cliff Lee, who's gone to back-to-back World Series with the Phillies and with the Rangers last year. You have Cole Hamels, who led the Phillies to a World Series in 2008. You have Roy Halladay, the reigning NL Cy Young winner, who threw a no-hitter and a perfect game last year, so you can't say he's on the decline.
Right.
As long as the hitters stay in good position, which I think they will, maybe a couple trades are looming around. There's a trade that seems to always pop up. I don't know how much legs it really ever has.
It's not going to happen.
Is Albert Pujols for Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard's from St. Louis. He's loved there. And we'll see what the Pujols deal goes down since he's an expiring contract. We have a new LeBron James on our hands. He's going to get El Decision on ESPN.
All right, Maddie. Well, who do you think is honestly going to win?
I'm going to have to go with the Phillies as well. They have a great team, and although the Giants' pitching staff is great, I don't think that they're hitting, and the rest of their offense can match up to the Phillies.
Amber?
I mean, if the Yankees can get their pitching together, I think there's always a chance for them. It's kind of the safe bet. It's kind of the drawing a 7 or something like that. You have to go with them because they can work magic. So.
No, they can't work magic. They can buy magic.
Oh,
that's
man,
cute. That's cute. 27. That's all I have to say. All
right.
27.
Yeah, 27 million.
27 titles. 27
right.
titles.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to join Carl and Maddie. I think that the Phillies do have the best chance, and that's simply because I think that they have the best rotation. And right now, we've seen over the last 2 to 3 years, pitching is dominating the major leagues right now. I want to thank y'all very much for coming on. I enjoy talking to baseball. Next week's show is going to be fantastic. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to give an NFL draft breakdown. So come back and see us next week on Texas Nation.